Good morrow, scholars. Welcome back to Shiver. So the other day when I said I was going to record 3 videos, I didn't, because Pokemon Go is completely in control of my life right now. As soon as I'm done here, I'm going to hit up all the Pokestops and get a horde of Ultra Balls before work, and some more eggs to hatch. Anyway, we are in chapter 49. Sam, 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So I guess we'll get to find out what happened to him. Where was... yeah. Page 321. Cold clung to my skin. Earthy darkness pressed against my eyes, so heavy that I blinked to clear it from my irises. When I did, I saw a dull white rectangle in front of me, the crack of a door, without any other shapes to gauge by, or do you say gauge? I couldn't tell if it was desperately close or horribly far away. Smells crowded around me, dusty, organic, chemical. My breathing was loud in my ears, so wherever I was had to be small. A tool shed? A crawl space. Man, it was cold. Not cold enough for me to change. Not yet, but it would be soon. I was lying down. Why was I lying down? I staggered to my feet and bit my lip, hard to keep from gasping out loud. Carefully, nope, sorry. There was something wrong with my ankle. I tried it again, carefully, a fragile fawn on new legs, and it gave underneath me. I crouched sideways, arms wheeling, feeling for some kind of support. My palms raked across a legion of spiked instruments of torture hung on the walls. I had no idea what they were. Cold, metallic, dirty. For a moment I stayed on all fours, listening to my breathing, feeling blood well in my palms, and thinking about giving up. I was so tired of fighting. It felt like I'd been fighting for weeks. Finally, I pulled myself back up and limped to the door, arms stretched out in front of me to protect my unarmored body from more surprises. Icy air seeped in through the crack in the door, trickled into my body like water. I reached for a handle, but there was nothing but ragged wood. A splinter stuck into my fingers, and I swore, very quietly. Then I leaned my shoulder into the door and pushed, thinking, please open. Please, if there's any justice in the world. Nothing. That's sad. What's up, Iggy? Chapter 51. Grace, 39 degrees Fahrenheit. I picked up my backpack. This is it. It seems stupid, somehow, for Beck's house to look exactly the same as when Sam had brought me here to walk me to the Golden Wood, because the circumstances were so wildly different, but it did. The only difference was Beck's hulking SUV in the driveway. Jack was already pulling to the side of the road. He took the keys out of the ignition and looked at me, eyes wary. Get out after I do. I did as he said, waiting for him to come around and pull the door open. I slid out of the seat, and he grabbed my arm tightly. His shoulders were thrust too far together. What? And his mouth hung slightly open. I don't think he even noticed. What? I don't know. I guess I should have worried about him attacking me, but all I could think was, he's going to change, and we won't know where Sam is until it's too late. I prayed Sam was somewhere warm, somewhere out of winter's reach. Hurry up, I said, tugging my arm against Jack's grip, almost jogging toward the front door. We don't have any time. Jack tried the front door. It was unlocked, as promised, and he shoved me in first, before slamming the door behind us. My nose caught a brief hint of rosemary in the air. Someone had been cooking, and for some reason I remembered Sam's anecdote about cooking the steaks for Beck. And then I heard a shout and a snarl from behind me. Both sounds came from Jack. This wasn't the silent struggle of Sam trying to stay human that I'd seen before. This was violent, angry, loud. Jack's lips were tore into a snarl, and then his face ripped into a muzzle, his skin changing color in an instant. He reached for me as if to hit me, but his hands buckled into paws, nails hard and dark. His skin bulged and shimmered for a moment before each radical change, like a placenta covering a terrifying feral infant. That is a horrifying image. I stared at the shirt that hung around the wolf's midsection. I couldn't look away. It was the only detail that I could convince my mind that this animal really had just been Jack. This Jack was as angry as he had been in the car, but now his anger had no direction, no human control. His lips pulled back from his teeth and formed a snarl, but no sound appeared. "Stand back!" A man tore into the hall, surprisingly agile given his height. I wish that could be me. I ran directly at Jack. Jack, off guard, crouched down defensively, and the man landed on the wolf with all his weight. "Get down," snarled the man, and I flinched before I realized that he was talking to the wolf. "Stay down, this is my house. You are nothing here." He had a hand around Jack's muzzle and was shouting right into his face. Jack whistled through his clenched jaw, and Beck forced his head to the ground. Beck's eyes flitted up to me, and though he was holding a huge wolf to the ground with one hand, his voice was perfectly level. "Grace, can you help?" I feel like that would be me. I am just crazy enough to do something so stupid. I'd been standing perfectly still, watching. "Yes." "Grab the edge of the rug he's sitting on. We're going to drag him to the bathroom. I know where it is." "Good, let's go. I'll try to help, but I have to keep my weight on him." Together we pulled Jack down the hall into the bathroom where I'd forced Sam into the bathtub. Beck, half on the rug, half off, got behind Jack and shoved him into the room, and I kicked the rest of the rug in after him. Beck leaped back and slammed the door, locking it. The doorknob had been reversed so that the lock was on the outside, making me wonder how often this sort of thing had happened before. Huh, that's a great idea. Beck heaved a deep breath, which seemed like an understatement, and looked at me. "Are you all right? Did he bite you?" I shook my head, miserable. "That doesn't matter anyway. How are we going to find Sam now?" Beck jerked his head for me to follow him into the rosemary-scented kitchen. I did, looking up warily when I saw another person sitting on the counter. I wouldn't have been able to describe him as anything other than dark if anyone had asked me later. He was just dark and still and silent, and smelled of wolf. He had new-looking scars on his hands. It had to be Paul. He didn't say anything, and Beck didn't say anything to him as Beck leaned against the counter and picked up a cell phone. He punched in a number and put it on speakerphone. He looked at me. How angry is he with me? Did he get rid of his cell phone? I don't think so. I didn't know the number. Beck stared at the phone, and we listened to it ring, small and distant. "Please pick up." My heart was skipping uncontrollably. I leaned on the kitchen island and looked at Beck, at the square set of his shoulders, the square set of his jaw, the square line of his eyebrows. Everything about him looked safe, honest, secure. I wanted to trust him. I wanted to believe that nothing bad could happen because Beck wasn't panicking. There was a crackle on the other end of the line. Sorry. Thought I had enough liquids. "Sam?" Beck leaned close to the phone. The voice was badly broken up. "Grt. I don't know. You?" "It's Beck. Where are you?" "Ack." "Grace. Jack to Co." The only thing I could understand was his distress. I wanted to be there, wherever he was. "Grace is here," Beck said. "It's under control. Where are you? Are you safe?" "Cold." The one word came through terribly clear. I pushed off from the island. Standing still didn't seem to be an option. Beck's voice was even still. "You aren't coming through very well. Try again. Tell me where you are, clearly as you can." "Tell Grace. Call I built in shed some air. I heard a go. I came back to the counter, leaned over the island. You want me to call Isabel? You're in a shed on their property. She's still there? S. Sam's voice was emphatic. Grace? What? Of you? Don't say that, I said. We're getting you out. Her. He hung up. That's depressing. I don't talk to people much on the phone, so yeah, I don't know. Where was I? Beck's eyes flicked to me, and in them I could see all the concern that his voice didn't reveal. Who's Isabel? Jack's sister. It seemed to take too long to pull off my backpack and get my cell phone out of one of the pockets. Sam must be trapped somewhere on the property in a shed or something. If I get Isabel on the phone, maybe she can find him. If not, I'm going now. Paul looked at the window, at the dying sun, and I knew he was thinking I didn't have enough time to get to the Culpepers before the temperature dropped. No point thinking about that. I found Isabel's number from when she called me before and hit send. It rang twice. Yeah. Isabel, it's Grace. I'm not an idiot. I saw your number. I wanted to reach through the phone and strangle her. I do too. Isabel, Jack's locked up Sam somewhere near your house. I cut off the beginning of her question. I don't know why, but Sam's going to change if it gets much colder, and wherever he is, he's trapped. Please tell me you're at your house. Yeah, I just got here. I'm in the house. I didn't hear any commotion or anything. Do you have a shed somewhere? Or something? Isabel made an irritated noise. We have 6 outbuildings. He has to be in one of them. He called from inside a shed. If the sun gets down below the trees, it's going to get cold in like 2 seconds. I get it, snapped Isabel. There were rustling sounds. I'm getting my coat on. I'm going outside. Can you hear me? Now I'm outside. I'm freezing my butt off for you. I'm walking across the yard. I'm walking across the part of the grass my dog used to pee on before my idiot brother ate her. Paul smiled faintly. Can you hurry up? Hurry it up, I demanded. I'm jogging to the first shed. I'm calling his name. Sam, are you in there? I don't hear anything. If he's turned into a wolf in one of these sheds and I let him out and he rips my face off, I'm having my family sue you. I heard a dim, faint crack. Beep. This door is stuck. Another crack. Sam, wolf boy, you in here? Nothing in the lawnmower shed. Where's Jack anyway, if he did this? Here, he's fine for now. Do you hear anything? I doubt he's really fine. He seriously screwed up, Grace. In the head, I mean. And no, I'd tell you if I heard something. I'm going to the next one. Paul rested the back of his hand on the glass of the window over the sink and winced. He was right. It was getting too cold. Call Sam back, I begged Beck. Tell him to shout so she can hear him. Beck picked up his phone, punched a button, and held it to his ear. Isabel sounded out of breath. I'm at the next one. Sam, you in there? Dude? There's a nearly inaudible squeak as the door opened. A pause. Unless he's turned into a bicycle, he's not in here either. How many more of them are there? I wanted to be there at the Culpepers instead of Isabel. I'd be faster than she was. I'd be screaming my lungs out to find him. I told you. 4 more. Only two more close. The others are way out in the field behind the house. They're barns. He has to be one of the close ones. He said it was a shed. I looked at Beck, who had his phone up to his ear still. He looked back at me, shook his head. No answer. Sam, why aren't you picking up? I'm at the garden shed. Sam? Sam, it's Isabel. If you're a wolf in there, don't rip my face off. I could hear breathing into the phone. The door's stuck like the other one. I'm kicking it in with my expensive shoe, and it's ticking me off. Beck slammed his phone down on the counter and turned away from Paul and me. He linked his arms behind his head. The motion was so Sam that it pierced me. I've got it open. It stinks. There's stuff everywhere. There's nothing. Oh. She broke off and her breathing came through the phone, heavier than before. What? What? Wait a sec, shut up. I'm taking my coat off. He's here, okay? Sam, look at me. Sam, I said, look at me, you B-word that rhymes with mustard. You're not turning into a wolf right now. Don't you dare do this to her. I sank slowly down beside the counter, cupping the phone against my head. Paul's face didn't change. He just watched me, still, quiet, dark wolf, and Maru is having a fit. I heard a smacking sound and a softly breathed swear word, then wind roaring across the speaker. I'm getting him inside. Thank goodness my parents aren't home tonight. I'll call you in a few minutes. I need both my hands now. The phone went silent in my hands. I looked up at Paul, who was still watching me, wondering what I should say to him, but I felt like he already knew. Dun dun dun. Chapter 51. Sleet danced off my windshield. Maru! That hurt, and it scared me. Off my windshield as I turned down the Culpepper's driveway, and the pine seemed to swallow the headlights. The hulking house was nearly invisible in the darkness except for a handful of lights shining in the windows of the ground floor. I pointed the Bronco toward them like I was steering a ship toward lights on shore, and pulled up next to Isabel's white SUV. No other cars. I grabbed Sam's extra coat and leaped out. Isabel greeted me at the back door, leading me through a smoky-smelling mud room full of boots and dog leashes and antlers. The smoky smell added alliterative appeal. Where was I? Only increased as we left the mud room and made our way through a beautiful, stark kitchen. An uneaten sandwich sat abandoned on the counter. Isabel said, "He's in the living room next to the fire. He just stopped throwing up before you got here. He puked all over the carpet, but that's okay because I like having my parents, ticked at me. No point interrupting a constant pattern." "Thank you," I said, more intensely grateful than the phrase conveyed. I followed the smell of smoke into the living room. Luckily for Isabel, her non-existent fire-building skills, the ceiling was very high and most of the smoke had drifted upward. Sam was a curved bundle next to the hearth, a fleece blanket wrapped around his shoulders, an untouched mug of something sat beside him, still steaming. I rushed over, flinching at the heat of the fire, and stopped short when I smelled him. Sharp, earthy, wild. A painfully familiar smell that I loved so well, but didn't want to smell right now. I'm uncomfortable. The face he turned to me was human, though, and I crouched beside him and kissed him. That's sweet. He took me carefully, as if either I or he might break, and closed his arms around me, laying his head on my shoulder. I felt him shiver intermittently, despite the small, smoky fire that was nonetheless hot enough to burn my shoulder nearest to it. I wanted him to say something. This deadly quiet scared me. I pulled away from him and ran my hands through his hair for a long minute before I said what needed to be said. Sorry. You aren't okay, are you? It's like a roller coaster, Sam said softly. I climb and climb and climb toward winter, and as long as I don't get to the very top, I can still slide back. I don't think they work that way. I looked away into the fire, watching the very center of it, the very hottest part, until the colors and light lost meaning, blurring my vision to white dancing lights. And now you're at the very top. I think I might be. I hope not. But, heavens, I feel like, yeah. He took my hand with rigid fingers. I couldn't stand the silence. Beck wanted to come. He couldn't leave the house. Sam swallowed, loud enough for me to hear it. I wondered if he was feeling sick again. I won't see him again. This is his last year. I thought I was right to be angry at him, but it just seems stupid now. I just can't wrap my head around it. I didn't know if he meant wrapping his head around whatever made him angry with Beck, or the roller coaster he was riding. I just kept staring at that fire. So hot. A tiny little summer, self-contained and furious. If only I could get that inside Sam and keep him warm forever. I was aware that Isabel was standing in the doorway of the room, but she seemed far away. I keep thinking about why I didn't change, I said slowly. If I was born immune or something. But I wasn't, you know, because I got that flu. And because I'm still not, am not really normal. I can smell better and hear better. I paused, trying to collect my thoughts. And I think it was my dad. I think it was when he left me in the car. I got so hot the doctor said I should have died, remember? But I didn't. I lived. And I didn't turn into a wolf. Sam looked at me, his eyes sad. You're probably right. But see, it could be a cure, couldn't it? Get you really hot? Sam shook his head. He was very pale. I don't think so, Angel. Aw. How hot was that bathwater you had me in? And Ulrich, he tried going to Texas that year. It's 103 and 104 degrees out there. He's still a wolf. If that's what cured you, it's because you were little and because you had a crazy high fever that burned you from the inside out. You could induce a fever, I said suddenly, but as soon as I said it, I shook my head. But I don't think there's a medication to raise your temperature. It is possible, Isabel said from the door. I looked at her. She was leaning against the doorframe, arms crossed over her chest, the sleeves of her sweater filthy from whatever she'd had to do to get Sam out of the shed. My mom works in a low-income clinic 2 days a week, and I heard her talking about a guy who had a fever of 107. He had meningitis. What happened to him? I asked. Sam dropped my hand, turned his face away. He died. Isabel shrugged. Muru! Sorry. But maybe a werewolf wouldn't. Anyone else think of Balto? Maybe that's why you didn't die as a kid, because you were bitten right before your idiot dad left you in the car to cook. That was mean. Beside me, Sam scrambled to his feet and started coughing. Not on the freaking rug, Isabel said. I jumped up as Sam braced his hands on his knees and retched without throwing up. He turned around to me, shaky, and something that I saw in his eyes made my stomach drop out from under me. The room stank of wolf. For a dizzying moment, it was me and Sam, my face buried in his ruff, 1,000 miles from here. Sam squeezed his eyes shut for a second, and when he opened them, he said, that was weird. Sorry, Grace. I know this is an awful thing to ask, but could we go to Beck's? I have to see him again if this is... He stopped. But I knew what he'd been about to say. The end. And speaking of the end, I'm going to go ahead and end this chapter here, because Iggy is inconsiderate. I see you over there. Oh, my chest. Well, I think after I'm done uploading this and everything, what I'm gonna do is head up to the all those Pokestops, like I mentioned, I think earlier, and get as many Ultra Balls as I can. I've hatched 31 eggs. How cool is that? If you haven't started playing Pokemon Go, please get the game and join Team Instinct. Please. Anyway, until next time, goodbye everybody. Also, do I look darker to you guys?